This is the tutorial for Lesson 1A of Photoshop. What you are looking at is the finished file. If you open the file called 01A end PSD, this is what you will see. This is what your finished work will look like. Now you need to open the file called 01A start PSD. It should look like this. Before we begin working on the file, let me tell you a couple of things about Photoshop. First, you should always plan to use both hands for working in Photoshop. There are a lot of things you have to do where you hold down some keys on the keyboard at the same time as you're doing something with your mouse, so be prepared to use both hands. Second, when working in Photoshop, selection is half the battle. If you can learn how to make a clean selection, then you can apply all sorts of changes only to the parts of the photo that you want to change. This first lesson deals mostly with selection, and we'll get to that in just a second. Over here on the left, you will see that you have a large selection of tools. Sometimes this is overwhelming the first time you see it. There's a lot of different things there, but don't worry, we'll get to each of them slowly. First, we'll begin with the Zoom tool, which is down towards the bottom. It's a magnifying glass. If you click on the Zoom tool, then you can click and drag in your document to zoom in on the part that you want to zoom in on. If you find that you've zoomed in really far and you've gotten lost, you can always hit Command 0 on your keyboard to return to a normal view. Okay, some of the tools in Photoshop are hidden. If you look at the tool and you see that there is a little dark triangle in the bottom right corner, that means that there are other tools hidden behind that one. So if you hold it down, other options will pop up. We're going to change the rectangular marquee selection tool to the elliptical marquee tool. It should look like an oval or a circle once you've done that. To make a selection, you just click and drag. When you click and drag, you will see little dotted lines moving, and we call those marching ants. So go ahead and click and drag somewhere on your document. It doesn't matter where, just to see what a selection looks like. To get rid of that selection, you hit on your keyboard Command D for deselect. There are some things you can do to change the way the selection is made. For instance, if I hold down Option while I click and drag, my selection comes out from the center point. If I hold down Shift, my selection becomes a perfect circle. So, Command D to deselect. Using Shift and Option, I'm going to drag out from the center of this coin, attempting to select just the coin with no extra background and none of the coin getting lost. Okay, as you can see, my selection is not quite perfect. It needs to move over a little bit. If I hold down the space bar, I can move my selection without changing the shape of it. So, I'm holding the space bar to move it, then I let go of the space bar, but I'm still holding down Shift and Option to make my selection a little bit bigger. Space bar to move it, let go of the space bar to stretch it, space bar to move it, let go of the space bar to make it a little bit bigger. Right, I think I've got it pretty close to the edge now, so I'm going to let go of the mouse first, then the keys. If you let go of the keys first, you'll lose the constraints and your selection will not be what you expect. So now I have the coin selected. However, in order to make my picture look like this one, what I actually need to change is not the coin, but everything else. So I need to select the inverse of my coin. So to do this, I go up to the top of the screen to select and then inverse. You'll see a second set of marching ants has appeared around the top and sides of my picture. The marching ants around the coin are still there. This indicates that the area between the coin and the edge of the picture is selected. Now I will apply my adjustment. I go to Image, Adjustments, Curves. There are plenty of ways to adjust the levels in an image in Photoshop, but we're going to use curves today. All we're going to do is darken the image except for the coin. So when this graph comes up, I'm going to choose the little point in the top right corner and move it down about to the middle until it looks something like this. Then I'll click OK, and that's it. I'm done. When you get your document to look like this, before deleting Before you delete your selection, take a screenshot. Command-Shift-3 will take a picture of your whole screen. That is the screenshot you will turn in to get credit for this assignment. Feel free to replay this as many times as you need to while doing your own work in Photoshop.